The Lillehammer 1994 Winter Olympics. The best winter games ever. This, one of our proudest moments, gave us not only unforgettable memories, we also inherited arenas on which dreams are built, and the knowledge and skills to turn those same dreams into reality. Since '94, our Olympic region has hosted 50 European and World Championship events. We have arranged more than 200 World Cup competitions and have established the standard for all future Youth Olympics after the 2016 Games. This amazing multiplicity of events has provided us with a wealth of unique knowledge and skills, which we willingly and with great pleasure share with others. The best race is still to come. The perfect competition lies ahead of us. The ultimate match has not yet been played. The road toward fastest, highest, or strongest is never ending. Those who have come closest to perfection have shown indomitable willpower and courage. But more importantly, they have not traveled the road alone. Lillehammer Olympic Legacy Sports Center has been, and always will be, a tireless traveling companion on the pathway that leads to dreams being achieved, both for tomorrow's champions and those who shall lead them on the journey towards the stars. That's why our motto says, train better, lead better, and share it with the world.
Great, welcome. With this video, I want to open the second day of the Nordic Skiing Development Camp. And yeah, I want to welcome everybody who's joining in today. My name is Elke Gundermann. I'm the sport manager for the sports of para cross-country skiing and para biathlon at the World Nordic Skiing Federation. And today, I think we have an exciting program ahead of us with the insights into talent identification and development of young athletes from Team Great Britain. So Jane Kavanagh is with us today. She's the head of Paralympic program for Team GB, and we have Irina Gromova, the head coach of the Russian Paralympic Nordic skiing team of the physically impaired athletes, with us with some support of Oksana for some translation if needed. And I'm happy to give the word right to Jane and share your presentation for that.
Amazing, Elke, thank you so much. And guys, thank you so much for having me today. When Elke approached us to talk about this, what I wanted to do was just give you guys a little bit of an oversight as to what we're trying to do as Great Britain in this space. So where we are is obviously that snowboard, is to give you a little bit of an indication of who we are, what we're trying to do, and probably some of the challenges, actually be quite open with you guys in terms of the challenges and kind of pitfalls and some of the successes that we've had in this space. Next slide, Elke, thank you. So what I wanted to do, like I said, is just kind of take you through a little bit of our journey. So our current and our hopefully our future landscape for para snow sport in Great Britain, why we decided to mix it up. So we've kind of revolutionised everything that we used to do before last cycle to now, and really kind of open ourselves up to show you what our challenges were and how we've kind of tried to overcome them, but also some of the mistakes we've made, which is a good thing, I think, to be super open about. And then why it's working, and then hopefully if you guys have got any questions, that would be superb. So if I just start, Elke, on the next slide, which is just a little bit about us as GB Snow Sport. So we're quite unique, I think, as a team. So we are responsible for all Paralympic snow sport disciplines. So I look after Alpine, Snowboard and Nordic, as well as we have our Olympic snow sport disciplines under us. We're pretty new, so we've only looked after para since 2018. And we are structured with individual coaching teams across each discipline. And then we have a unified leadership, unified sports science and medicine. And what that has enabled us to do is really learn from each other. That's been the really cool stuff, is we get to learn and transfer knowledge and shift knowledge and understand the inner workings. and be able to share and learn super quickly. And I think that's the biggest kind of piece that we've learned is if we can learn quickly, we're going to stay ahead of the curve, which is really exciting. Funnily enough, we have no snow. So traditional winter sports are not traditional in the UK. You know, if you look at the stats and understanding, people cycle, they do athletics, they swim, triathlon's big, rowing's big. If you ask people about snow sports, it's not really something that most people do at a weekend. So we had that kind of hurdle. So we had to create something that wasn't reliant on opening your door into snow. So we had to create something that was accessible and not super expensive, because that's been a massive blocker in the system. When I came into post 3 years ago, we had some insanely awesome athletes, but we were a very alpine focused program. We had just sent our first team in para snowboard, didn't win any medals in PY, same in para Nordic, first athlete, no medals. And we were completely reliant. All of our medals were won in para-alpine VI female skiing, and we still are dominant. And one of the big things that I was tasked with coming in was to diversify. So actually, could we be competitive? What would it look like if we tried to challenge across different environments? And as I said, we don't have a history. We don't have kids learning to Nordic ski. We don't have people that have been on mountains since they were day dot. So we had to think of a different way to look at this. And I think this probably resonates a little bit with other nations that might be in the same position as us. So what we did was we created a program. My background slightly is quite a lot in talent ID across summer sports. So I've done quite a lot of that. And I'm also very well known for probably apologizing afterwards. So let's try something. If it fails miserably, brilliant. We learned so much quicker doing that, and let's give it a go. And I said, you know what? We've got some insanely marvelous athletes that are going to emerge, and we know how to do performance sport. We've got an amazing support network that we can support them, but we need to find some more, because these guys are going to want to go on and do other things, and we want more. We want people to love winter sport as much as we do, and how do we get that word out? So I came with a bold idea, no money, no real plan, if I'm being brutally honest with you guys, of we want to create a development program, we want to create a structure, and how do we go about doing that? So I'm going to try and take you through that and be very open with you in the next kind of 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So next slide, Elke, thank you. So what I wanted to create, this is pretty bold, right? This is what I presented to all of our stakeholders, all of our sponsors, and what we wanted to do is we want to create a world-leading talent ID and development program that would seamlessly underpin our elite programs. I think that's the key word here. Is what we didn't want to do was create something that operated in isolation. We wanted to create something that would underpin all of the work that we were doing. And by underpin, I kind of mean a little bit of different areas. So yes, absolutely in performance standards, yes in kind of the technology, the equipment, but actually critically in performance behaviours. So we wanted to create something that actually, stepping into the world-class programme for us, which is our elite end, was almost kind of a step across or a step down, that actually we were engaging people, creating the culture and the environment around them that would really work. We wanted to optimise existing and new. I knew that if I tried to reinvent the wheel or create something from scratch, we'd never get this off the ground. So what I needed to look at was what currently existed, what worked well, what didn't, and where we can make and influence change, but also which areas do we choose to get our hands dirty. The key bit for me was learning. So I'm quite a curious person as a human, like I said, which means I make quite a lot of mistakes and go down little harebrained schemes. But we have some really strong Olympic, Paralympic, summer, winter and professional programs in the UK. So how could I learn from them? How could I step our program up and get it off the ground quicker than if I tried to do it on my own? And I think that's the biggest, one of my other take homes is ask questions, be vulnerable, we don't know everything. So there is going to be somebody that knows more about that area than you do. So how do we use all of those ideas and bring it all into one place and put a kind of snow sports label over the top? And the big bit, I think, we can go through these bullet points, but for me was around actually having an athlete-centered program with holistic and performance support. So we get making big, bold decisions and performance decisions. But the key was finding athletes who wanted to engage, who had the right performance behaviours, who had the right mindset, and this actually was right for them. Very much what we see sometimes in talent ID is it can feel very glossy and you see the end point, but athletes aren't told about the journey and the hard bits that come through that. And what we wanted to create was something that was really open, really honest, super curious, but athlete-led in what they were able to do. So that's what I wanted, pretty big ambitions for somebody with no money and no real clue what she was doing. So what we then did, Elka, is if we go on to the next bit, is kind of in terms of the challenges. And I love this photo. This was actually in Canmore in our first year. So Steve should not be that way up, but was one of the funniest falls that we've seen. He was fine, by the way. I wouldn't have said it was funny if he wasn't fine. So these were my big challenges, I think. So when we set out was funding, had no money, had to figure out a way to make this work. The right support for pathway coaches, and I think this is an international piece, wide piece, is actually we don't have a structure, we definitely don't in the UK, of para-Nordic coaching qualifications. And how do you get exceptional in that space? And what development, what mentor coaches? How do we support individuals to be the most exceptional human beings that they can? How do I do that? How do I find someone that wants to do para-Nordic skiing when the total number of people para-Nordic skiing are those in my elite program, and that's it? So how do I find even a coach to underpin that? Commercial partner buy-in. If I'm honest, sometimes talent and development isn't the glossy end. You get a lot of commercials that want to sit at that real marginal gains, that real top end. So how do I get them to understand that actually this is the most exciting part? Getting people exposed to our sport is the most exciting part. So how do I change my narrative to be able to fit and to be able to get the partners on board? I'll leave the where to start, but the international development landscape, as we know, Elka and I talk about this, is there aren't race profiles. There aren't races for under 14s or under 16s or under 18s. We don't have what FIS have or what the IBU have. So how do I give them opportunities? How do I track performance? How do I move it forwards? And basically, where on earth do I start with this? So on the athlete side, which is the most important, was, as I said, for me, it's around being athlete-centered. How do I give them a really exceptional experience? How do I get access to equipment? We don't have 30 sit skis sitting around for different impairment groups. How do I find them? We don't have ski resorts that I could pop to at a weekend and see who was there. And how do I ensure that we support the individual needs of an athlete? Through my time in kind of summer sports and working across Talent ID, one of the biggest kind of retention issues that you have is actually fundamental happiness of an athlete. So if we can ensure we have happy humans, and that's a human as a whole, that's not just as an athlete, that's a happy human. So in life, school, university, parents, home setup, if we have a happy human, pretty much there'll be a happy athlete. Happy athletes perform well. So how do I set that up and give them that opportunity? So sounds quite doom and gloom. They were my challenges. And then on the next slide, Elka, I think we talk a little bit around how I try to address this. So my number one in everything we do is to be values led. So as I've said before, I'm curious, I make mistakes. I quite like making mistakes. I'm very good at apologizing. And if you remain curious with a little bit of vulnerability, we found actually we got a lot further because we were able to ask good questions. We were able to use other people's insights, and we were able to make really safe mistakes. So we felt supported. We were able to understand what did work and what tweaked, and we're able to make that before we had to engage with the athletes, which was really, really good. Exceptional basics. So although today we have launched our partnership around sit ski rigs, which I don't know if anybody's seen with around some engineering work, but actually the biggest bit for us is around getting the basics right. So sleep well, eat well, train well. How do we do that? How do we do the exceptional basics? Why do we need to complicate something that already is quite complicated landscape? Parasport as a whole can be quite complicated if you're not in it already. So attracting new athletes, understanding para snow sport, particularly in a non-snow sport nation, how do I get exceptional basics? Athlete-centered, as I've said, everything is, am I genuinely having a positive impact on this human being? So I don't want anybody across any of my elite programs, development programs, to leave my program in a worse place than they came in. I want to better, and that is in real life, in sport. They want to come out of this not injured, not resenting the sport, not putting family life on hold or something on hold. How do I make this genuinely about the whole human? And my little line is, which this is my one line, is around being compassionately ruthless. So elite sport is really tough. It's hard. We have to make really tough decisions, but we do that compassionately. So we have to tell people sometimes not very nice things. So you haven't hit performance standards, we can't support you. Athletes need to tell coaches this isn't working for them, we need to change it. But it's how we do that with each other. So every time we have to have a difficult conversation, we do it in a way that is human first. So it is compassionately ruthless, which sounds a little bit weird, but it's something that I remind myself every time I have to do a difficult conversation. or work through. And it's a little bit of a reminder actually to our athletes that our coaches give up a lot of time as well, time away from family, time away. We wouldn't do that if we didn't love what we do. So actually we're all in this together. It's one team. We need to have difficult conversations. We're open, we're honest, and we have it super upfront, but we're very mindful of the other person. Like I said, get the simple stuff right. Work with partners. So I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. There are some amazing charities and individuals out there. Why not bring them under one roof? So it might feel a bit messy to start with, but actually, how do I make that really exceptional? Focus on the key areas where we can make a difference. The list I just gave you was so humongous. If I tried to do that, I think I'd just be running around. So I focus on the key areas. How do I find people? And how do I provide them with the best level of support that we possibly can? And how do I have, and that brings coaches into the mix. How do I recruit really good coaches and support them really well? Learning from the current athletes. Best humans that I could. Our current athletes and our coaches. What worked well? What didn't? What was their trajectory? Where did they come from? Where did they learn? How does it work? What worked for them? What didn't? Where were the turning points in their career? How did it work? What were the kind of landmark moments that really, really supported? And then, like I said, everything is athlete-centered. So when we have to have difficult conversations or really exciting conversations, we put the athlete in the center. And then what this meant by kind of drilling down into these areas, and like I said, the values-led piece was critical. That was the big bit. If you go by your values-led decisions, I don't know if any of you have experienced, you know, when you get that funny feeling in your tummy where you're not quite sure of the outcome or how it's going to feel, that's because it goes against your values. So it's making sure that you are thinking and aligning it. And if you do that, you kind of don't go wrong. So that was really powerful. And then the results, Elke, which are on the next slide, is just where we're at now. So if you remember where we started, we didn't have any money, didn't really know what I was doing. By the way, guys, I don't ski. Barely know one end of a ski or a snowboard from the other. So not a clue, if I'm honest. It's actually quite hilarious to watch me ski. We didn't have anything. We never had a structure in Great Britain before. We didn't have any partners already engaged. But where we're at now is we have started a structured, aligned para snow sport development pathway. So I have 3 full-time coaches that's entire responsibility is pathways, development, and getting people into sport. We've done that through partnership funding, so looking at different pots of money that we can use by looking at different partners that already existed. How do we work really well in that space? And that's where the engagement with key partners comes. It can become quite political, but it can also open a lot of doors and have really good conversations where a lot of people want to be in this space. And that's what I realised is people are so excited by our sport, so excited. We just need to get the story out there and communicate it super well. We have new athletes. So I'm making Elke's life incredibly difficult because we have a lot of new athletes coming for classification, which is amazing. We have the same across para snowboard and in para alpine. So ours was finding the right athletes. And as quite a small little island, we don't need thousands of people. We're not set up to do that, and that's not our ambition. So what we've done is we've kept it small. We've identified small cohorts of people to give them a world-class experience. So rather than en masse, a kind of generic, we focus and made the call, few people, but give them the best support that we can. And that's led to the identification of new and elite athletes. So like I said, sorry, it's a whistle-stop tour. I speak incredibly fast, which isn't very helpful, but snow sport in Great Britain 4 years ago, 8 years ago was not something that rolled off people's tongues. It wasn't something that was super obvious. It wasn't, and it still isn't. It's not our national sport. It's not something that most kids grow up doing. A lot of our athletes come quite late in life through acquired injuries or through kind of transitioning from other sports. So we needed to meet our population group and create something. We're still making mistakes. We're still trying to stay curious. We're staying vulnerable. We're trying to still figure it out. And we really are excited to take this to the next stage. And I think for me, with this group of people, this is so exciting that you guys are here. And I think this is a great position for us to genuinely, I hope, Elke, genuinely contribute positively to development of the sport moving forwards, because we're now in a position to do so. So that's it from me. Very whistle-stop tour. Super happy if there are any questions. And I hope, guys, that was ever so slightly a good use of 21 minutes of your time.
Amazing. No, thanks so much, Jane, for the presentation, or showing also the pathway that you came along over the last 4 to 8 years, what you mentioned. And I have to say I'm involved now for 5 years, and I have to say it's amazing seeing this growth, or also you say not growing too much, but in a way that is manageable and brings the best value to the athletes and the team. So really amazing to see that journey. And
thank you.
so send as many you want to the classification, no problem. We accommodate for sure. No, I hope also for everyone else on the call was a great insight. Feel free to post questions in the chat or raise your hand before we go to the next part of the session. If there's no current question, I have actually one to you. Is maybe if you could reflect a bit on the support or from other countries along the journey that you received or you were reaching out for, or how did you connect with other teams?
Elke, that is a brilliant question. We would not be here without collaborating with other nations. I can tell you that, absolutely. I think that is one of the most powerful things I've seen working across summer sports, Olympic sports in my 100 years working in sport, is that is the most powerful thing. And I think that's a massive super strength of para snow sport. So we wouldn't be here if Sweden hadn't waxed our skis in Pyeongchang. We wouldn't be here without Norway's insights to be able to support us. We wouldn't be here without the USA and the work with Eileen. We wouldn't be here without Kate Boyd. So we are so grateful to all of the nations, and that's something I hope that we're in a position now to start giving back. If we all get better, we all get better. So if we can support each other, I think great question. And yes, massive thank you, because we would definitely not be here without the other nations.
No, amazing, and you're right. It's a family, isn't it? The Nordic skiing and snow sports family, and I think the support is really, There's a lot of teams reaching out, want to join the sport. For example, we have Argentina on the call. We have Slovenia coming in, and so on. So it's exciting to see all those new nations joining the Para-Nordic skiing. There will be this season. I can maybe already announce that also Azerbaijan will join us, Iceland. So some nations that we haven't had on the circuit so far. So that's really exciting. Jens, I see you have a question. Please come off mute.
Yeah. Hi again, Jane.
Hello.
This was really interesting, but where do you pick or not pick up, but where do you meet your new athletes? How do they sign up? Do you have any cooperations with organizations, how do you meet them? Great question.
Any way I can is the answer for you. So we have how we're structured in Great Britain. We have a funding body called UK Sport. They've run a talent ID campaign for loads of different sports. So we were part of that. So we've had people sign up through that. That's great. I work with a lot of talent transfer. So we have a lot of summer to winter sport support. So we work really closely with athletes that are existing in other disciplines that could potentially have the skill set to transfer across. We work with charities. So we have a lot of charities. So whether it's military charities through to we worked with blind charities. We've worked with lots of different organisations. And then what we've actually also done is start to educate our Olympic counterparts. So through the coaches is understand how do we make our roller ski clubs really accessible. So as an example, so how do we educate the coaches working in that space to be able to recognise? And then with our indoor facilities is kind of, again, upskill the workforce. So great question. It's a bit of a absolute hybrid mix. We have it really clearly on our website for people to get in touch. Our kind of social media, that's where we've got a lot of people. And actually we've seen, because we're one body, so Olympic and Paralympic, that we can leverage off our Olympic guys to attract new people in, which is brilliant. And I also think that having your athletes as really good role models really helps. So quite often our existing athletes know of somebody, they trust them to come into us. So actually by us creating a positive world-class program, our athletes talk positively about us externally to people that they might know, which brings athletes in. Very long answer, which I don't think you're expecting, but anywhere, basically.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Great. So if there's no further question at the moment, then I think we move on to the second part with Irina, the head coach of Team Russia. So thanks, Jane, for now.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. So Rina, I start sharing the screen, and then perfect. So please feel free to continue.
Well, let me start. Our experience in the development of children's Nordic skiing is pretty spontaneous. We don't have any program that what Jane said. So we should say that after Sochi, after Paralympic Games in Sochi, the cities became more accessible. It was, you know, the Sochi was a huge. It left huge legacy. Is it right word that I say? So and the cities became more accessible. There was this huge interest in Paralympic sports. Am I right? Yeah. And we were shown on a TV, they talked about us. And for the first time, people in our country, at least, learned that parabiathlon exists and how it looks like. And they learned what looks like wheelchair curling and sledge hockey, etc. So after, you know, I don't know how to say it. 1 second. So to popularize parasport and to make it easier for new athletes to find us, we began with me and Irina, we began to develop our social media. It's mainly Instagram. It's Gromova team. And during the lockdown, one mother of one kid, yeah, this is the Moscow Championships, and our kids from our team. So we're saying for now, we're saying that we don't have any program only about our team, because of course in our country we have some programs, but we say about only our team. So the mother of the boy with the spina bifida, she contacted to Irina, and she asked, my child wants to do skiing, and what should we do, when we can start it? And because we have a big country, and a lot of parts, they, you know, it's not so popular to work with sitting athletes, because it's more easy to work with standing, you know, because you don't need the seat ski, you don't need, especially with the kids, because they need support from their parents and all that stuff. So just a second. No. So the group of that parents, they were, how to say, they communicate with each other, and they asked to help Irina to develop, to help their kids to get to the skis. And this how our junior team was born. So now we have 12 athletes. It's from 5 to 15 years old. It's mostly spina bifida, but also we have amputee and CP. So that's better. And they're, and they're the kids that are doing the skiing right now, but we have more kids that wanted to, but it's very complicated, because some part of our country, they don't have any snow, and it's not easy to get to the training and all that stuff. And the most difficult part is to find a place for the training, because, you know, it's the traffic in the Moscow, even if they live all in Moscow, for example, the traffic and the logistic is pretty hard. So we have, что у нас там еще? Расскажи, я немножечко волнуюсь, когда одна только говорит.
Нормально все рассказывать.
Да, хорошо. So, anyway, sports for them, for the kids, is the opportunity to have active and healthy life, have common interests with their families, because last winter, brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers of our children went skiing together. As you can see, this is the youngest members of our junior team, Oля and Simeon. They both have spina bifida. And their brother, забыла, Vova, да? Vladimir. And as you can see, they can do skiing together, and it's heartwarming, actually. Because, you know, when I was a kid, I met Irina when I was 25 years old, and I have very, how to say it, regrets that I didn't met her earlier when I was a kid. For now, it's a very, very great opportunity for these guys to achieve very, very great, что там, как это сказать? Great, tell me somebody.
Opportunity, maybe?
Yeah, to get to the, you know, Paralympic podium, for example. I hope so one day for them. So, as we said, we have a small guys, this one, and they do less than these older guys. Because older children now, they more actively and regularly, they do training about 4 or 5 times a week. In the winter, they train for 1.5 or 2 hours, which is it's impressive, because I do, for example, 2 hours or 2.5 in the first training. And they do at least 4 or 3 works out on the roller skier in the summer. So we all know that group training provides benefits in the results. So we held 4 training camps this year. We combined these camps with the main team with us, with the adult athletes, for many reasons. First of all, Irina can be with the kids and with us, so it's very comfortable, I guess. And children see how we can training and how we do our work, and they can learn a lot and become more independent. That's very important skills, like choosing equipment for a training according to the weather, and, you know, sitting to the sit ski by themselves and strap themselves, and to discuss with the coach the forward session. And we, as an adult athletes, we can share our experience and teach children how to prepare for the stars, how to focus, and maybe in the future, when some of our team adult athletes will finish, we can be able to work with children. So this is also included in the idea, Irina's idea to develop our para sport in Russia. So in general, we think that, we see the second slide, please? Yeah. So as you can see, they are very, very great guys. They have a close friendship. And, you know, it's very important to have this possibility to have a common passion, and this helps children to accept themselves, their health characteristic, and during the period of growing up. Because when I was a little kid, I didn't have such a group, and I would like to, really. Because it's very supportive to each other and competitive and all that things. And one great thing that once Danya, the guy from you can see him here, it doesn't matter, in the corner, at the right corner. So he no, this one, yes, yes, this one. So he said, I used to dream of walking on my own 2 feet like other people, living without spina bifida. But now, knowing how many interesting things I can do ahead, I think that I'm fine. This means a lot, I guess. So, and we're trying to do for them a lot sorts of cool things, like we did unofficial test as part of Russian championship. For children, this is absolutely serious. They had a chips, start list, fans, all this incredible, inspiring for both children and for us as adults. And they can feel spirit of competition. And after all, they are small, but they still athletes, and the athletes needs a start. So that's pretty much what I think about this, and I can translate something that you wanted to say. Yeah, so you can see this is our training. So we are not so, it's very serious in the GB set. We do it like we only started, but we love it. Sure.
Да, есть вопросы?
Maybe you have some questions.
Что-то еще не рассказали.
Any questions? Yes, not? Yeah.
This is a good picture. No, amazing. Thanks so much for giving insight into that. It's great how the young team and the older team or the senior team trains also together and shares the experience, and it's really providing, I think, the nice atmosphere and give them the chance to learn from each other. So thanks so much for presenting that. I have a question before. Us. I think there's a question in the chat. Okay, right, Argentina. Maria made a comment, but a question I have is, how many athletes or young athletes are currently in the group, or that's on the camps and coming together, just to get a rough idea?
Now we have 12 kids. And other kids are just when they come, but then when they can, they come. So, but for now, currently we have 12 athletes. Young.
Oh, amazing! And it's a big country, and you mentioned the point about getting like logistics is difficult to get people together. So no, amazing that this is possible.
But their eyes are sparkling, and they're so inspired. They're inspiration for us, and that's worth it.
Занималась очень много, тяжело же становится. Yeah.
So are there any questions to the team? Now you have a full load of knowledge here. Also, if something came up for Jane or. But I think, Irina, after the Sochi Games, it was very big, like because of people seeing it on TV and so on, and being aware of it. I think that was a big step in the country also, in the interest.
Yes, it's a big step forward. Yeah, for especially for accessibility. Can I say it like this? Yeah, and for how people can see us. Like used to be, it was just, oh my God, she's on a wheelchair. Now, wow, she's an athlete. She's parasport. And, it's a big step. Yeah.
No, amazing that there was some big improvements after the games, and hopefully this continues. I think this is something all around the world that can, needs to continue on that. Jens, also amazing pictures, good job. Yeah.
Yeah. Not so serious like GB did.
No, it's good. It's I think every country has a different starting point. I think what Jane also presented is, GB is not really the most, or this a country that is known for the skiing or snow so much, and how programs, like how it's amazing how like each country can find a way to develop a program. So for example, also I see that Maria is online, for example, and there's just a few spots in Argentina, but she's making it happen, for example. So that's I think good inspiration from both of you, Jane and Irina. Oksana, thanks for leading through the presentation. Are there does anybody wants to add or has a question? Since we have everybody live here, this will be available online also later on, but without the option of asking the questions. Because I think then we can come to an end, and if there's nothing more, but amazing presentation from both of you. Thanks so much, and thanks also for because as Jane also mentioned, is when one nations get better, the whole Nordic skiing world gets better and grows. So thanks for all your efforts in your countries, and continue like that, so that we can look into a bright future for the sports. All right. Have a good day, good evening, good morning, wherever you are around the world, and hope to see you soon. Some of you in Kenmore, in Bukati, or maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow we have another session about, sorry, I forgot that, the last day of the camp, online camp, about anti-doping. So we get insights from the IPC Education Development Manager on anti-doping and the head of classification of Nordic skiing on classification. So all you need to know about those as when you're about to start the sports. And of course, questions, Q&A, welcome as well on that session. Very good. Then thanks everybody, and see you hopefully tomorrow or on the upcoming events pretty soon. See you.
Thanks everyone.